got to try to stay with it. It's been a tough little stretch here, and we played some good teams, but we haven't been playing very good either. So you compound those two things, and they just needed some confidence, and I just thought they competed better. They took better at bats later in the game, and Carl did a nice job. He's been keeping us in games pretty much all year, so that was good to see.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't even have, I don't know, just a handful of base runners against Shane for 6 or so innings. I mean, it seemed like he was in complete control.
Yeah, I mean, I try to keep track of it. We talk about opportunities and trying to score them and how many opportunities. We had 15 opportunities, 4 were given to us free. They had 7 and we gave them 3. So that's kind of been a bugaboo for us, is either we've been getting opportunities but we haven't been cashing in on them. Now, not recently, but early in the year, Vanderbilt, Arizona, things like that. But then on the converse side, we've been giving up a lot. Against John and UCLA, they had 18 and we gave up 13 free ones. So we're just trying to get better as we move into conference. Really we're kind of young in certain places and new with the injuries and stuff, but I give them credit. They did a good job, because it's tough, man. It's tough to win. It's hard to win, and sometimes you forget that when you're going through a tough stretch.
Were you worried when you left so many guys on early in the game with how your offense has struggled recently? Were you worried that those
Not really.
opportunities?
I just like the fact that we had opportunities, because we haven't been having opportunities as of late. And, the fact that we did is, encouraging that we're at least creating some offense. Now, we're going to have to take better at bats when runners in scoring position. Now we get back to what we were doing at the beginning of the year. So it's just kind of an ebb and flow. It's kind of an ebb and flow. When we weren't taking good at bats or getting a big hit, then all of a sudden we weren't getting guys on. So, it's just one of those things. You guys just got to keep staying with them. They got to get to the next pitch, and they got to keep grinding. I mean, really.
It seemed like Jeff McNeil's one of those guys that every time you see him play, it's like, man, this guy's going to hit 400. I mean, it seems like he takes a lot of good at bats. Maybe hasn't been rewarded for it, but tonight, I mean, just
exactly. I mean, what he does is if you can have a bunch of guys consistently over the course of the year, just take quality at bats like that, because he did. He took quality at bats. He spoiled some pitches. He had 4 quality at bats against Loyola. Had nothing to show for it. So it was good to see him not press and panic and say, hey, I got to get some hits, and just go about the at-bat. And I think, he had some great at-bats tonight. I mean, there's no question. And he's a tough little out. You have to make pitches, and you've got to be able to do some things to get him out. And, so you got to give him a lot of credit, for that. But he's a good little player. He's turned himself into a good player for never playing much high school baseball.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's good.
Michael Hill, I mean, obviously a big hit tonight. What has that guy meant for your offense here?
I mean, going into the season, Aaron, I mean, we just looked at the shortstop position from a defensive standpoint and taking care of the baseball, because I think the staff, it doesn't have strikeout stuff, so we're going to force to put the ball in play, so we've got to take care of it. So on the other end, we just kind of slid him down at the bottom of the lineup and just, take care of the ball and trying to do those things. But he's really emerged as he's very strong, and I think he is swinging at better pitches now, and he's not chasing as much. But he had a really huge at-bat. A guy made a mistake, and he took advantage of the mistake, and he's had pretty good darn at-bats for us. Even at ASU, he had pretty good at-bats. So that's I think that's an added bonus, and it looks bigger than what it is, because we're not really swinging the bats from the Avila's not out, and a Patron and the Prig and some of those guys. Those guys have to be guys. But it certainly is nice to get the Hills of the world and the other guys to get some quality at bats and get some production too.
Right.
So.
And then you move Mossale in the closer role. Is that going to be a permanent? And what goes into that decision after he was your Friday starter to begin the season?
I think going into the season, you're looking at Friday night for me. Saturday is always the biggest night of the year for me, because you can either win a series or even the series up. Now, the Friday night guy, in my opinion, needs to set the tone. He needs to be aggressive, and I think Moss is that. Now, his struggles, I mean, he's not a typical starter. His future is going to be in the bullpen. His future for us right now should be in the bullpen if we were healthier with, the Strufings of the world and some other options. And he probably would have been pitching the 8th, and Friedrichs would have been pitching the 9th. So that's where he's best well served. And he's aggressive. His stuff will play up a little bit. And I just think we're going to be a better team that way, as long as we can get quality pitching and bridge the gap in order to try to get to him. So.
What do you think about Shane from a stuff standpoint tonight?
I think Shane has pitched extremely well. Numbers-wise have been very good. We have been trying to get him to stay over the rubber, stay behind the ball, throw against the front side to get the stuff that he showed more in the fall. I mean, he was arguably 90 to 93 and aggressive with a little bit more action to the breaking ball, and it's been a process. I think stands, new opponents, performance, just everything. He has kind of lost that mojo or that feel of getting back, doing things back, and then working out over and being aggressive to get over the ball. And he's not even, he doesn't even have his best stuff in my opinion, but he's still pitching for us. So I got to give him a lot of credit for that. And and maybe it's an evolving thing. Maybe it's going to take some time, and maybe 2 years down the road he's going to figure it out and be better for it. But at this time, I think his stuff will play up at some point, but right now he's really pitching with what he has. I mean, really doing a good job of mixing, pitching down when he has to, being aggressive. And I thought there was flashes of it tonight, a little bit, just not as consistent as it has been.
It seems like even though maybe the breaking ball didn't have as much power as maybe it had in the fall, I mean, he still has that pretty good feel for it, it seems like.
What he's done is he's got really good feel in the strike zone for it. And tonight, for the first time all year, he's at least expanded the zone down with it. Yeah. He was getting hurt at ASU on 0-2s, 1-2s that he tried to bury, but because he's so forward, the ball ends up hanging up, and then good hitters, are going to do something with it. So I thought he did a really good job from last week and the week before to get to that point. And now if we can get a little bit more action and stuff with it, just aggressiveness with it by getting back behind the ball, behind himself, then I think he got something. Then I think he got something. It's good to see you.